So I would now like to introduce you to our second speaker of the day, Miss, and I'm going to try my best, Esther, to pronounce. So this is Esther Goedegebuure. Did I do a good job? So Esther is the editor-in-chief of Jan, one of the biggest glossy magazines in the Netherlands, and it's about fashion, beauty, lifestyle, but most of all, human interest. She is one of the founders of the magazine that was launched 12 years ago. She loves the dynamic combination of creating a beautiful magazine, being financially responsible, the entrepreneurship, and managing her team. Esther is a mother of 3 children. She lives in Amsterdam, where the office is located. One of her greatest joys every day is cycling along the canals, because that is where the office is situated and next to the Anne Frank house in the middle of her beautiful city. Esther has a passion for cooking, reading, but most of all, travelling with her husband and her children. As a family, they try to make exciting trips as much as they can. She's going to speak to us this morning about her magazine and the 30-plus women's lifestyle magazine that she runs and how to take care for a healthy work-life balance. So, ladies and gentlemen, Esther.
Thank you. Well, good morning. My name is Esther Goedegebuure. I know it's a very difficult name to pronounce. And I am the editor-in-chief of Jan Magazine. And like you heard, Jan Magazine is, I can say proudly, one of the most successful glossy magazines in the Netherlands. And I like to begin with where your question ended, the former speaker. I believe in print. And Jan Magazine is proving that there's always a market for high-quality print. As long as you know what you're doing and you know what your target group wants and wants to read. And as long as you make quality magazines, there will always be print. And our figures prove, because we are still growing in circulation. So I believe it will be forever. Jan Magazine was launched 12 years ago, and I am with Jan since the start. We wanted to create an authentic Dutch magazine for Dutch women. There were a lot of licensed titles in the Netherlands, like the international formulas, like Elle, Marie Claire, and Red, but there was no specific Dutch title for a grown-up woman, and that's why we thought of creating Jan. Jan was meant for women like ourselves. Grown-up 30-plus women, highly educated, interested in the world around her, and always busy to make out the most of everything. She is the ultimate multitasker, combining a family life with an exciting job, and in the meantime, she's trying to have a dynamic social life. She's a busy and energetic woman who is able to make fun of herself as the ambitious overachiever. Most of the times, she lives in the city. She's an interesting target group for the advertising market, since she's part of the higher welfare class. She loves fashion, beauty, and lifestyle, and she likes to read about it. Since she's a grown-up lady, she knows what she likes and what she loves. But with Jan, she stays well informed. Why do we call Jan Jan? Jan is the most common boy's name in the Netherlands, like Jean or Juan or John. And when we started Jan, we wanted to make clear that we are a so-called no-nonsense glossy magazine. So in spite of our beautiful glossy look and feel, we wanted to show that our content is very down to earth, and it's about the real things in life. And that's why we choose the most common no-nonsense Dutch name. And of course, it was funny to have a boy's name for a women's magazine. It made everybody curious. But our publisher, he wasn't so amused. He was not convinced that it could be a success. He thought it was too high risk to give a women's name a boy's title. So we had to go back and think about another solution. And then we thought, Jan is also just another name. He accepted this excuse, and 12 years later, nobody thinks it's weird any longer. What is Jan about? Of course, Jan is a glossy, so Jan is about fashion. When we started Jan, we wanted to make a very Dutch magazine, but with an international look and feel. Also because that was really interesting on the advertising market. And this is why we always worked with international fashion photographers and international fashion models. And it's also the reason why we always shoot on sunny locations wherever in the world. Because we say, in Jan, the sun is always shining. But unfortunately, in the Netherlands, the sun is seldom shining. So we travel all around the world to shoot our fashion shoots. And the beautiful images you will see on this presentation are all shot especially for Jan. We put a lot of effort and budget in producing beautiful pictures. And we produce everything ourselves. So there are a lot of magazines who buy content from international other magazines, but we don't do that. We produce everything ourselves. Also, our interviews have this international standards. We don't interview international celebrities, only Dutch celebrities, but the character of the interview, the standard of quality, was inspired by the American Vanity Fair. We saw that the interviews in the American Vanity Fair distinguished themselves from other interviews by the special shoots, the pictures, and the high quality of the interview itself. So that's why I thought we need the best interviewer and the best photographers, and we asked them to make the best interview for Jan. Of course, Jan is also about beauty. It's a topic in Jan with a no-nonsense tone of voice, but always rich in look and feel. And Jan is about shopping, the best buys from the latest collections. But the real life stories is what we call the heart of Jan. We want to move and touch our readers with inspiring stories of the lives of unknown but extraordinary women. Women in who we recognize ourselves, or our sisters, or our friends. Like this story of a mother with a teenage daughter who has Down syndrome. And then again, we wanted to picture them in their most beautiful way. So also the unknown women are always shot with a lot of attention and love for making beautiful pictures. Jan is also about food, of course, because women, they like food. Eating is one of the things that make women happy. And healthy, good, tasty food is a very important subject. Also, eating more and more vegetarian and vegan or plant-based is highly on trend in the Netherlands. In this phase of life, in this 30-plus phase of life, a lot is going on. It's an enormous challenge to combine a working life with a family life. We all have the wish to make sure our marriage or our relationship stay healthy. We all want to make sure we stay healthy ourselves. In this phase of life, all the big things happen to us. Big, beautiful, important life events, like the birth of our children, the way we enjoy our mature friendships. We know more and more who we are and what we want. But also sad and complicated things happen to us, like divorce or awful diseases, and the worst of all, losing the ones we love. About all these emotions, we write. And it's because of these articles we are loved so much, and Jan is so successful, I'm convinced. Because in this phase of life, there are no solutions. Of course, there are tips and tricks, but the only thing of importance is that you want to be heard. You want to recognize yourself. You want to feel the connection and realize this magazine is about me, about my life. And that gives you comfort. In Jan, we also have attention for home decorations and inspiring interiors and storage ideas and lots of great houses. But then again, psychology is one of the main subjects about parenting and raising kids, about relationships, about all the subjects that we face when we live a family life. And then again, there are no solutions. We all struggle with the same things. But women can inspire each other with their experience. And that's what we tried to do in Jan. Jan is loved because it's moving, it's touching, it's inspiring, and it's about the real thing. We have this payoff that says, Jan is de glossy die je raakt, which means Jan is the glossy that touches your heart. And I'm convinced that this is the reason why we're so successful. We live in an era that's all about emotions. Like I heard this morning, Martinhal sells emotions. It's exactly the same thing for Jan. We sell emotions. And our figures shows. We have a circulation of 68,000, and online it's actually a little bit more than these 300,000, like I say, 350,000. And we're doing very well on social. And there is more, because we are so successful with this Jan. We made some spin-offs the last years. We have twice a year we have Jan Living, which is an edition about home decoration, about traveling and about food. We have Jantje, which is an edition that's especially for parents, mothers with children from newborns till 12-year-olds, and it's about parenting and about kids' fashion. And we have the Vakantie Jan. It's our holiday edition. It's a very successful edition. It's all about summer and about celebrating holidays and everything you want to read while you're on your bed on the beach. And we have a Jan agenda. Of course, we have Jan online. And now something about myself. Sorry, I lost my... Of course, I know about myself, but... I am 40 years old, and I live in the city center of Amsterdam, together with my husband and my 3 children. I've got 2 sons of 16 and nearly 15 years old, and I have a daughter. She's 11 years old, and she's sitting over there. I'm really happy that she could join me. And I have to say, I am Jan. I'm married to my husband Lodi, but I'm also married to Jan, I say. And I love my job. There's no reason not to love my job. I work with the most greatest, inspiring, intelligent, and creative people. And I meet always very, very nice people. I go to exciting places. I get invited for events like this. So, of course, no reason not to love my job. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. But that's what I wanted to say. I feel very often spoiled and grateful that I'm in this very exciting job. But I also realize I worked for it. It didn't come to me by accident. And that's one of my messages this morning. As a mother, as a woman, you better put a lot of effort in having a career that's giving you inspiration and energy. I have a full-time job. In the Netherlands, this is not a common thing. Actually, it's a very rare thing. Only 25% of the Dutch women have a full-time job. Arguments not to have a full-time job are that the daycare system is expensive and insufficient. And Dutch women feel very guilty when they're not at home to take care of their kids. Also, Dutch women are very keen on their work-life balance, and they fear that their quality of life reduces when they work full-time. Of course, this is all to do with the kind of job you have. And that's why I want to stress the importance to put effort in building a career that satisfies you, that challenges you, that motivates you, that brings you fun and joy. When your job is part of your life, then it's a lot easier to find a work-life balance. Of Of course, it didn't come easy. I've got 3 children, like I said. And yes, there were times I took a break at the office toilet and I cried because I was so tired. And yes, there were times my children cried when I had to leave in the evening to another work event. Please, Mum, stay at home. Why don't you pick me up from the schoolyard like all the other mums? They said to me. And yes, then I felt very, very guilty sometimes. But I've also realized that you can't have it all, and sometimes you need to make choices. And feeling guilty will never make you successful, not in your career and not as a parent. Nowadays, I see my children are proud of me. They like what I do, and they take the benefits from it sometimes, like my daughter Shul. But also for my daughter, I want to be an example, to show how important it is to be financially and economically independent, and to show that a nice career can be very fulfilling in life and is very encouraging for your self-esteem. Being a mother is the most important thing in my life, but it's also the hardest. Raising children, that's a tough job. Making mistakes in parenting is a lot scarier than making mistakes in work. That's how I feel it. I don't know how you think about it. But work always makes me sure about myself. Feeling successful is a very good feeling. Well, as a mother, I always have this voice in my head. Am I doing right? Is this the best decision? Am I sure? My sons are 16 and nearly 15 years old. Is anyone familiar with this age in the room? Okay. So then you know, they go to bed themselves. You're not exhausted any longer by carrying them all day. They can and want to dress themselves. You don't have to feed them any longer. But hell, it can be very complicated with adolescents. And tiring. And hard in a completely different way. It's a challenge. And a fantastic and amazing challenge. But you need to take care of yourself to survive this ride. How am I doing this? And this is how I feed myself and make sure I have energy for my job and my role as a mother. So, I love to spend time with my husband, just the 2 of us. There, if you see I'm going from the left to the right, that's my husband and me. And I love to spend time to cook and to bake and to eat. And my daughter is a great cook as well, so we enjoy pies and cakes, more that is good for my bikini body. I love to spoil myself once in a while with nice clothes and earrings. I love earrings. And I love my bike. Biking is the most relaxing way to move yourself in Amsterdam. Biking is good for everything. It's good for your physical condition and it's better for the environment. And I love Amsterdam. It has the comfort of the village and the excitement of a metropole. And like was said before, our office is along the canals on a historical site in the middle of Amsterdam, near the Anne Frank House. And it's an absolute joy to ride from my house every morning to the office along the canals. And I love the beach. Nothing better than feeling the wind in your hair when you're on the beach. I love to be with friends. In our hectic lives, we forget too often to spend time with friends. Because we want to have the spare time that we have, we want to spend it with our families. But having fun or having a good conversation with your friends can fill up your batteries so well. I love to read. It's tempting to spend your evening hours on your iPad. But reading a good novel, it's much more fulfilling. It's much better for your brains, and it's often much more inspiring. A good novel brings up great thoughts and ideas concerning to me. Of course, I love to spend time with my children. Hugging them is the best energizer in life. But my favorite thing to spend time and money on is traveling. Sometimes I take a break from everything and I spend a whole week by myself somewhere in the world. And this picture was taken in Sri Lanka, where I did an Ayurveda treatment for 1 week. I can recommend it to every woman. But the best thing in life is traveling together with my husband and my children. Visiting exotic places, exploring nature, get to know different cultures, tasting new kind of food. It makes me so happy. Enjoying adventures together is so great. We made several trips with the children, and we've been very lucky to visit amazing places like South Africa, Brazil, and last year we've been to Canada. But the best decision we ever made in our lives was taking a sabbatical. 7 years ago, we traveled around Southeast Asia for 12 weeks. Our children were by that time 9, 8, and 4 years old. We took them from school and we wanted to be together for a longer period. So we did sort of homeschooling. And if we talk this morning about work-life balance and you have this sabbatical thing on your wish list, I can only advise you, make it happen. Go. Just do it. It's the best thing you can do in life. And it's not difficult, and you can manage it. If you can go on maternity leave, you can also go on a sabbatical. It's the best investment in your family. Traveling together is all about making memories. Wherever you go, it's a gift to yourself for life. And then my last tip for this morning. If you don't have time or you don't have the wish to go on a sabbatical, I have something else for you to relax. And that's a very easy thing. Take a hike, make a stroll, and try to do it every day for at least 30 minutes. Go on a hike alone or together with your partner or your child or a friend. And like you walk the dog, even if you don't have a dog. While you're walking, you really listen to each other. There are no distractions from iPhones or other electronic devices. Being outside and having this light and easy exercise is nurturing for your mind. It's easy, it's for free, and it's much better than therapy. I do a lot of sports. I do it nearly every day, and I only do it to stay in shape. But I hate it. I hate it every day. Hiking for a shorter or a longer distance, that's what I really, really like. I can recommend it to you firmly. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely inspiring.
Thank you.
And I think it's so nice as a woman to sit in the room and to listen to someone who has created something and grown it so organically and created something so successfully and yet still seem to have it all. So I know that how we often think that we can't have it all, but I think listening to you today, it is about balance. It's about being true. It's about working hard. But I love the sabbatical part at the end. I myself am going to try and take a little leaf out of that book. Back to your business. One of the things that I really enjoyed listening to is how you described the persona that you gave your target audience. And I think from a business perspective, it's very important to know who your target market is. And I would advise everybody in the room today to actually, if you are in business, to write that person down. What do they look like? What kind of things do they enjoy? Describe your person and then stay true to that. And I also really loved hearing about the authentic pictures that you take and looking at them all. Every single one of the pictures that you used were so aspirational and inspirational. I think that's probably why, from not knowing your magazine until listening to it now, why the women connect with you so much and respond. So thank you. I'm going to ask if there's any questions for the beautiful Esther in the audience today. Chitra.
Esther, very inspiring speech. Thank you very much for the tips at the end, especially. I think as female entrepreneurs, we're very unforgiving on ourselves, and we want to do it all and still look great and, get into a bikini. So how do you look so beautiful all the time, Esther?
I think feeling very happy. And I try to be outside as much as I can. So I also realize I have the opportunity. I can ride a bike to get from home to the office. I don't have to be in a car, never. I work close to a park, even if I live in the city center. So I take strolls as much as I can. And
No, it was a serious
but it doesn't come easy. I don't want to give the impression that I'm having it all or my life is really like the glossy magazine. I also have my ups and my downs, of course.
We all do.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch upon that, especially because I myself, as I intimated at last year's event, I've been through and still going through challenges to keep fit. And, beauty is one thing, but good health is what we all need to keep performing as parents, as businesswomen, as head of organizations, as bosses. We have to have the energy. And, if there's one takeaway from today for all you entrepreneurs out there and young budding entrepreneurs down here, it is, getting your work-balanced life is not easy. You have to keep working at it, and that's why I love the fact that you, focused, significant amount of time on how to get your work-life balance right.
For women, they always put themselves low on the list, and you always spend time to your children, to your work, to your parents, and you forget about yourself. And I learned by default that because I was also like that it's absolutely necessary to spend time on your own, or go once in a while, take a break, go traveling by yourself, even if it's for a few days, or spend time with your friends, or spend time by yourself, or do the things you absolutely love, because your children, they will be fine, and your husband, he also has his own life,
So, I'd love to say that, women do. I'm not saying men don't focus their time on their families. Obviously they do, but we're wired differently. And when someone says
it's very hard for us to disconnect.
And what
we're always
are you?
on when it comes to the family, always. And again, I'm not saying that the guys aren't, but I think we're hardwired differently. And that's something we can't help.
4 generations and multiple. What am I? I'm a mother. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister, I'm a wife, and so on. The list goes on. And so thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.